David, Molly, Naftali, great to see you.
Hello.
Great to be here.
So we're seeing history made here with this Republican presidential race, aren't we? Someone writing in The Atlantic this week said the Republican Party is experiencing a paroxysm of abject terror. Molly Ball, those are your words.
Yes.
And that was before Romney's anti-Trump blast, before last night's rather contentious debate. What's the word today?
I would say abject terror remains an apt description, possibly even more so. You know, I've been covering the Republican Civil War for many years now. I sort of consider myself a war correspondent. And there was a time when these fractures were much more subdued and when they could be denied, and when you would hear party leaders say, oh, this is just the liberal media blowing things out of proportion. Every party has different factions, but we all come together and we do what's best. The Donald Trump candidacy has blown that to smithereens. Mm-hmm. And we have seen the party fracture in a lot of really interesting ways. I think we have seen that there are even more fault lines than we previously knew. In the years of the Tea Party, it was very much about there was a Republican establishment and there was a conservative movement, and they were at odds, and sometimes one of them would win or the other. There are many more factions, and they are motivated by different things, I think, than we previously assumed, particularly the Trump vote. And as Trump has pointed out, he is expanding the base of the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. He's bringing in a lot of new people, a lot of people who weren't previously Republican primary voters. I've met a lot of them at his rallies. Mm-hmm. And so the party has to grapple with how it is going to, first of all, whether he's going to be the nominee, whether the leadership of the party is going to be able to prevent an outcome that most of them do not want. And then if that happens, what that means for the future of this political party.
Well, David, can this political party survive this revolt by its own leadership, its establishment leadership? I mean, what Mitt Romney said yesterday was just extraordinary.
Yeah, it was. It was, right? We have the last nominee of a party giving an absolutely blistering series of criticisms of the leading candidate in the very next cycle. Sure, there's a scenario in which the Republican Party survives a Trump nomination. Trump's the nominee. He loses badly. Next time around, the party figures out a way to avoid this kind of situation.
Wait, so you're saying the Republican Party survives only if it loses?
Yeah, I think I think there is a scenario in which he's the nominee, it loses, and it still survives. But right. I also think there's scenarios in which it doesn't survive. I mean, there has long been a strain of populist nativist feelings in this country, right? If you do a map and look at George Wallace's performance in 1968, it actually maps quite closely to where Trump is doing well now. So parts of this aren't new, but it has been turbocharged by two developments. One has been the really disappointing performance of the economy over now the last 15 years. Wages have essentially stopped growing for much of the country, particularly less educated parts of the country. And two, the sense among a lot of people that America is changing. Now, many people welcome those changes, right? Gay marriage is now legal. Racism still exists, but there's much less of it than there used to be. We are a less religious nation than we used to be. And so people who've always been attracted to this more populist nativist brand of politics, I think, have real worries that the country is getting away from them. And I think that is a tension that it is very hard for the Republican Party to grapple with when it gets very severe, because the party is always dependent on their votes without quite doing what those voters actually want.
Well, Naftali, on the other hand,